Hi, Dan Tokar at the Willow Forge in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. And today's Blacksmith's Dictionary is a Honeydipper finial, or a mace head, or all sorts of other things you might think of. Gear shift knob. What it is it is the end of a bar that's drawn to a taper in both directions and then wound up on itself. So this is all one piece. There is no welding involved in this. It's all just drawing tapers and winding it up. So to get a closer look at this, it kind of looks like a halfpenny scroll on the end. So the bar winds around and ends up down there. This is done in 3/4 inch bar. And it does make an interesting finial. You can have it all by itself, or it could be a foot, or a steel mace, or a gear shift knob, that kind of thing. This is a 3-foot long piece of 3/4 inch mild steel. It's a little bit rusty, but this is what we're going to start with, so we'll have a nice long handle to hold on. I am going to put the camera filter on so that you'll actually be able to see the forging without the glare, but it'll make everything else kind of dark. All right, I'm going to start by drawing out 8 inches from the end of this bar into a taper. And remember, we know this bar started out as 36 inches long. That's about 6.5 inches of taper. All right. Hey, nice and hot. wanted to do the tip before it's cooled down because the body will stay hot long enough for me to work that in a while. Hitting the corners. Once you get 16 sides, it's as good as round. Okay, a nice fat taper. So, I want to have 8 inches to the base of the taper, and that's what I've got. There's 8 inches. I can take a piece of soapstone and mark right there is my 8 inches. Now, you say, why do I need to know that? I want to have a symmetrical taper, 8 inches in both directions. And I know that this bar started out as 36 inches long. So if I measure 36 inches now, there's 36. Come on now, don't wiggle around like that. There's 36. If I measure from the original end of the bar at 36 inches and measure back to the base of the taper, I find that that's 5 inches. So 5 inches of the bar will make this 8-inch taper. So if I measure 5 inches back from where the center of the taper is going to be, that theoretically is where I should start tapering from the other direction to have the exact same taper. That way you can have even tapers with about the same amount of material in them. I don't know if you can see those 2 marks. So, how do I mark that so that I can actually see it once it comes out of the fire? Well, I can put a little mark, just a little chop mark on the bar. That's one way. Another way is to take my soapstone and put this on the heel of the anvil, right where my mark is. There's my chalk mark, and I can mark up here where the end of the bar is. So I can bring this out, and if that's where I need to have my taper start from, I can put the point of the bar on that mark, and the heel of the anvil will give me the correct length. And once I've got a little bit of a shoulder there, I can move over to the other part. This also gives me a guide for where to put it in the fire so that I get the right part hot. It doesn't matter how hot it is if it's in the wrong place. Nice and hot, and I think in the right place. So I got my mark. I pull that down there. gives me the correct length. Right, very definite idea of where the end is now. You'll notice I'm going off to one side. You'll see why in a little bit. Okay, nice and hot. Clean it off. We check our lengths. And right now we're at 14. We'll get 2 more inches out of it. That's now 15 inches long. We'll get a little bit more out of the tip there. Nice and hot. All right. All right, we're about right. So we have about the same length. I'm going to have to move the camera to show you the next bit. You see how this is offset? We're going to bend it down. Now I put it in the vise so that it has a little bit past the corner. All right, that's good. You see how I'm kind of going at a diagonal with it when I strike where it's joined. This actually drives it down to the side. So if I can show you what that looks like, it now looks like that. And I'm going to straighten out the body a little bit on the anvil because it's a little bit twisted now. Have to move the camera again. Hey, put that there. And we'll grab it with a pair of tongs and start wrapping it around. And because that corner is hard to get started, I'm going to have to hit it a little bit. Right in the beginning there. Now it's tight. And part of this is that I heated it up in the right spot. I wanted the part that I was winding to be the hottest part. You can see how that's winding nice and tight on the rod. I lay it in the fire this way so that this part doesn't get hot, but the straight part does. The shank is right there, and the straight part is on the bottom inside the fire, so this part's not getting more than warm. I put it in like that. I take the scale off so it'll be nice and clean even on the inside. Grab it and just pull it around. And I pull evenly and slowly. I don't try and jerk this stuff around because you'll get a nice smooth curl this way. That's what we all want, is a nice smooth curl. Of course, I have the camera in just the wrong place. If you let it pull around at its own speed, you'll get a much tighter and evener curl. If you try and make it go faster than it wants to, you'll end up with a mess. So you can see what that looks like right now. So I'll heat up the next section. Okay. I can also just about hear you asking, why don't you heat the whole thing up? Why are you only going 4 or 5 inches at a time? And I say it's because of the differences in thickness of different parts of the taper. If you tried to heat the whole thing up, it would never bend evenly. Like right now, I've got a little bit of a bump. See that bump? And I'm going to put it on the anvil and take the bump out. The other thing I'm trying to do by doing this is to not put a lot of hammer marks in my nice smooth tapers. See, that fixed it, and I'll wind the last little bit up. And that I could probably do freehand. Right. I'm using the edge of the anvil to work the very tail end because I can't get the hammer in there. But if I hit that part, I'm transferring the force down to the tail. So what I'm really doing by doing that is forging this little tail down. And I need to get that hotter, but you begin to see what a nice honeydipper kind of a shape I'm getting. I just need this little bit of the tail to go in tighter. Okay, I put this in the vise, and this is a set hammer. A set hammer. Occasionally you need to hit things where you can't get to them otherwise, and that's what a set hammer does. It allows you to very carefully get in and hit something without getting everything else in the world involved. Now I'm going to straighten this a little bit. Let's see what we got here. Yeah. I'm also going to hit it backwards a little bit. And that was to get the top to look nicer. I'm going to drive it all nice and tight. Take all the I took all the little spaces out doing that. All right, I'm going to quench this now. I think it's relatively straight. I do have a little bit of nonsense there that I might want to take care of. Why don't I do that? I can make that look prettier. As long as I've got it hot, why don't I do it? Okay, I'll put that right up against there. And I'm going to use my set hammer to clean all that up without the danger of putting funny hammer marks in it. Alright, wire brush it again, and then I'm going to quench it, and it'll actually shrink up a little bit and get tighter on the shaft. It actually looks pretty straight. You can hear it clenching as it shrinks. That sound is it pulling in tighter. Still hot. Yeah, still pretty hot.